Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a brand new explainer, and we're going to go on a rather incredible journey. We are going to build a massive, interactive mind map together, starting all the way out from a macro, planetary perspective. And then we're going to zoom all the way down into the internal workings of the human mind. Think of it kind of like opening a map app on your phone. We'll start with the whole Earth, zoom down to a city, onto a specific street, and finally, right into the minds of the people walking on that street. Here is the roadmap for the mind map we're building today. 1. Mapping our world. 2. Running cities and villages. 3. Earning a living. And 4. Ancient ideas and philosophies. Let's jump right in.
Part 1. Mapping our world, finding our place on the planet.
So think about this for a second. How do we figure out exactly where we are on a giant floating sphere? There are literally no edges or corners to use as landmarks. It's a pretty wild geographical puzzle when you think about it. Since the Earth is a sphere, early geographers had to get really creative. They took the endpoints of the Earth's imaginary axis, the one it actually rotates on, and used those as fixed reference points. That gives us our north and south poles. From there, they just drew an imaginary circle exactly midway between them, which we call the equator, dividing the Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres. Just like that, our map has an anchor.
Now, what's really fascinating is the sharp contrast in how we slice up the rest of the planet. We've got horizontal lines, called latitudes, and vertical lines, called longitudes, and they do two radically different things. Latitudes are drawn parallel to the equator, and they dictate our planet's climate and heat zones. But longitudes? They are entirely about time. Since the Earth spins 360 degrees in 24 hours, exactly 15 longitudes sweep past the sun every single hour. That means it takes exactly 4 minutes for one longitude to pass by. It's basically a massive planetary clock.
The crucial takeaway here is that when these horizontal and vertical lines overlap, they create a grid system. And this grid is the ultimate tool for location. By finding the exact intersection, you can pinpoint literally any place on the planet. For example, the city of Nasik in Maharashtra sits precisely at the intersection of the 20 degrees north latitude and the 74 degrees east longitude. And with that, boom, the first node of our mind map is fully complete. We've mapped the globe. So let's zoom in.
Part 2. Running cities and villages, managing where we live.
Okay, so we know how to find our exact spot on the global grid, but let's zoom in to the actual streets we live on. Have you ever wondered who actually owns the infrastructure right outside your front door? Seriously, when you walk past a glowing street lamp at night, who paid for it? And who actually comes out to fix it when it breaks?
Picture this to see how it works in real life. It's a lazy Sunday afternoon, and a girl named Rahana is playing a super competitive game of street cricket with her friend Shankar and their group. Shankar is getting frustrated because he can't get Rahana out, right? So he bowls a short ball hoping for an easy catch. But instead, Rahana totally smashes the ball into the air and completely shatters the local streetlight. The kids absolutely panic. I mean, just last week, they broke a neighbor's window and had to empty their piggy banks to pay her back. But who on earth do you even pay for a city streetlight?
Completely lost, the kids bolt to Rahana's mother, who sends them down the lane to Yasmin Kala. Now, Yasmin Kala had recently retired from the city's accounts office. When these panicking kids breathlessly ask her who they need to pay, she just laughs. She explains to them that no single person owns that streetlight. Instead, there's this massive, complex local organization that handles the streetlights, the garbage collection, the water supply, the whole shebang.
So this gives us a really clear picture of how local administration operates depending on where you are. Out in rural areas, all this work is handled by the Gram Panchayat and the Zila Parishad. But in urban areas, it scales up immensely. For small towns, it's a municipal council. But for massive, sprawling cities like Pune, where Yasmin Kala worked, it's called a municipal corporation. They are making the big, heavy-hitting decisions, like where to build a new park, how to run the hospitals, and even controlling disease outbreaks. And just like that, we can lock in the second node of our mind map. We've successfully zoomed from the Earth's grid all the way down to local civics. Let's zoom in even further.
Part 3. Earning a living, how people sustain themselves.
Zooming in past those community governments, let's look at the daily lives of the individuals living there. How are they actually making ends meet? In rural setups, the local economy is massively driven by direct interaction with the land. We're talking agriculture, animal husbandry, fishing, handicrafts. But relying directly on nature is tough. It means these communities face intense, unpredictable challenges. Because their livelihoods are so tied to the environment, there's an absolutely critical need for sustainable practices and highly targeted government schemes to help them actually earn a decent living.
But when you flip over to the urban areas, the economic landscape is completely different. Here, we see this massive structural divide. On one hand, you have the formal sector, which offers regular employment, structured benefits, and a decent safety net. But right next door is the informal sector. And folks working in the informal sector face incredibly severe challenges. Unemployment, poverty, a total lack of basic services. It really highlights why government programs that focus on skill development are just absolutely vital for any kind of inclusive urban growth. Okay, we've mapped the globe, the city infrastructure, and the daily grind of making a living. That completes the third node of our mind map. Now, are you ready for the final, ultimate zoom?
Part 4. Ancient Ideas and Philosophies. The Search for Internal Meaning.
We are zooming all the way in now, past the city streets, past the jobs and our economic struggles, right into the human mind itself. For centuries, physical monuments like ancient stupas have served to ground humanity's incredibly deep historical search for truth. Thousands of years ago, the foundational thinkers of Buddhism and Jainism started asking profound questions about human existence. Questions that went way beyond just surviving the day or paying local taxes, right? They were building philosophical foundations that we are still reflecting on today.
These brilliant ancient thinkers figured out that to find universal truth, you kind of have to look past all the physical stuff. They advocated for renouncing material wealth and rejecting worldly pleasures. A huge chunk of their teaching was rooted in the idea of a universal soul, basically the belief that we are all fundamentally connected. Because of that, they pushed for extreme kindness to every single living being, including animals. And they taught that literally all of our actions have direct consequences, a concept you probably know as karma.
But what's really fascinating here is the Buddhist specific, almost clinical diagnosis of human unhappiness. He taught that the suffering in our lives isn't just random, it's actively caused by our own desires. He used this specific term, tanha, which literally translates to thirst or craving. The Buddha pointed out this brutal reality. Even when we finally get exactly what we've been wanting, we are rarely satisfied for very long, are we? We just end up wanting more, or we want something else entirely. He taught that the only way to break this cycle of constant craving was by practicing strict moderation in absolutely everything. And with that ancient wisdom, the fourth and final node of our mind map is officially locked in.
So our mind map is fully built. We've taken a journey from the literal planetary grid down into the city streets, through the modern economy, and right into an ancient diagnosis of the human heart. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder today. Despite our highly accurate modern maps, our incredibly structured city corporations, and all our economic progress, are you still caught in that ancient cycle of constant craving? Are you experiencing tanha right now? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it leaves you